Hello, folks. Welcome to Rugby Saturday Southwest. My name's Aaron Rivera. I'm your host today, and I'm joined by La Cueva Bears head coach Sean Murmer. Sean, how's your morning going so far?
Doing well, Aaron. Glad to be on.
Well, excellent. Sean Murmer has been a state championship winning head coach, assistant coach. You've been with the Bears for how many years now?
This is my fifth year.
Fifth year with the Bears. All right, well, let's go a little bit further back. Coach, where did you get your start with rugby?
Well, a good friend of mine. I was a UNM athlete, played football, came here on a scholarship from California, made New Mexico my home. Good friend of mine, Brian McCabe, was playing. He says, Sean, you want to play a fun game where you get a chance to run the rock? I was a linebacker at UNM. In my junior year, went out there with just a mouthpiece, scored my first try, first game, fell in love with it.
Do you remember who that game was against?
It was against the Brujos. It was UNM versus the Brujos. It was a scrimmage match.
Oh, nice.
And so that was my start. Didn't pick it up until still on a scholarship. Some of the football coaches didn't appreciate me playing rugby back then, which is kind of conducive to my situation at La Cueva, but that's another story in itself. Picked it up in the mid-90s, played for the Brujos, a little bit for the Aardvarks here and there. Pretty much played with old boys, so when I was in that transition of maybe potentially hanging up the boots, I went into coaching and fortunately had the opportunity to coach under Colonel Mark Neese at St. Pius for 3 years, winning 2 state championships. You got a state championship your senior year out of that.
Yeah, I get that T-shirt out every now and then.
And another great friend of mine, Marty Watts, really pushed me to become a head coach. We went to La Cueva, had support from the athletic department, football coach at the time, Coach Lucero, and so we've been to the state championship 5 years, and winning 3 of those. So had some fortunate success with some great athletes at La Cueva.
What's helped you set up? I know you said you had the support of the football coach when you first started. So was he encouraging his players to join the rugby
Absolutely.
team?
My first 2 years, I had 30, 35 kids at practice.
Oh, wow.
We would divide up the team and just go live. This year, started off with 30. I'm down to 20.
Down to 20?
Down to 20.
I did notice some of the players are a little bit different. You had a huge 8-man at the beginning of the season. He was playing his first couple games. I just remember seeing him against the El Dorado Eagles. He was barreling through everybody. Yeah,
that was Ryan McLean, and unfortunately, we lost him. I don't think it was because of his decision. I think it was because of his father's, but that's kind of a touchy subject because he was an impact player for us, and unfortunately we lost him.
Well, it's kind of tough around town because, well, not just around town, but in this country, football's always going to be the primary sport. As you mentioned, for you is even the primary sport. What's helping you to keep bringing those numbers? Because still 20 is more than some of those schools are bringing.
You know what? I think a good indication is what's going on at Rio Rancho. There's a reason why their football team went undefeated in one state. There's a reason why their rugby team won state 7 championships last year. They have, I think last time I talked to Dave Bracken, they had 10 to 12 of those football players playing both football and rugby. And if you play rugby, playing without the pads, you go into a football season, you're going to be a better athlete, and it shows. I mean, Rio Rancho football team ran the table. They have some great athletes. One kid in particular, Ashton, used to be in La Cueva's district. I wish I had that kid on my team right now because he's tearing up across the board. Rio Rancho has the best and most talented team I've seen in years.
Okay.
And I think that's a good indication when both sports do marry into each other, you'll see the benefits of it. And I think there's a good indication why both teams have won state championships because they have a crossover of both those sports. Yeah.
Well, I was talking to a young football athlete a couple weeks back about the same concept. He was saying he wanted to do track so that he could get better at being a running back and get the fast twitch muscles. And my comment to him was, well, you should play rugby because you're not practicing any specific skills in track. Not that it's a bad sport, but rugby and football are more similar. So you're practicing the same skills as well as other things like tackling, where you can become more valuable to a football team or a college team, even D2, D3.
Well, I tell you what, this is one of the reasons why I got into coaching, because I knew I would have been a better linebacker, would have been a better football player if I played this game in high school. Unfortunately, I picked it up my junior year of college, and it did. It made me a better athlete. The conditioning aspect, you're only allowed 7 substitutions, so only the strongest are out there.
Yeah.
And you can't roll in subs. So there's certain dynamics of this game that, like soccer, you're only allowed a certain amount, but you don't have that physicality in soccer, but you have that continuous play. So it would have made me a better athlete if I would have played this game earlier. And a great example of that, a lot of these kids that are football players, I got to break them of the habit of putting their head across.
Yeah.
The rugby tackle is the safe tackle, which Seattle Seahawks coach implemented with the NFL, and that video is going global as far as
Protecting the head.
Protecting the head, tackling techniques that are now implemented not only in the NFL but throughout college and high school.
Well, it's definitely a good thing for athletes to get into. Of course, there's always the danger of getting hurt across any sports. But, Sean, we're going to go ahead and take a break real quick. We'll continue this conversation in just a moment. Stick around.
It's a 2-1. And Little could have put this up to left field. And this one gone. It's a 3-run shot by Grant Little. And just like that, Texas Tech right back in it. To right field. This is deep. That gone. The solo shot for Orlando Garcia. Goldberg first to line, fires a fastball, and this is belted to left field, deep at the wall. Capella can't get there, and it's a 2-run shot for Hunter Hargrove. This one smashed to right field, and it is gone. 3-run bomb. Absolutely hammered. And Simpson scores. Bottom half. Square to the left. Montoya still coming on the dive. Makes the play. Nice play. Put a star on that one out and left. Still going back, and he makes a running catch in right center field. What a play by Tatum. Put a star on that one. Yeah. West Conference play. Who's going to go here? This belted out to center field deep. I don't know. Luis Gonzalez all the way at the right. This is hammered to left field. Looking up is Grant Little, and it's gone. A 2-run shot, a 3-run shot, for Carl Stajahan. And it's 11-8. How about the 11th bomb this year for Carl Stajahan? On the fire, and this one is blasted deep to center. All the way back at the wall, and it's a solo shot for Jared Mang, straightaway center. He bombed that baby. And the furthest part of the ballpark, Tom.
Don't forget, every Proview Network sporting event is on sale at our DVD store. Go to www.proviewNetworks.com to buy your DVD today.
Welcome back to Rugby Saturday Southwest. I'm joined by Sean Murmer, coach of the La Cueva Bears. And so, Sean, during the break we were talking about, out of 9 years of coaching, you've been to the state championship how many times?
This is my 8th year. The only year I missed was my first year at La Cueva. So I've been fortunate to have young individuals that have the willingness to want to win as bad as I do. Very, very fortunate, very lucky.
Well, so how many of those have been against Rio Rancho? Because the year that I played, 2011, we played against Rio Rancho. Last season was Rio Rancho. This season's Rio Rancho.
Yeah. Like I said, Dave Bracken has done a phenomenal job. A few years ago, we won our first state. That was, we played Rio then, but that was Bill was the head coach then. Kent, his name is last name is escaping me right now.
All right.
So Rio Rancho, Volcano Vista used to be a powerhouse. Unfortunately, that team folded, which is unfortunate because that was a program that had 90 kids in their first week of practice. So that's unfortunate. So Rio Rancho has always been an elite program, and like I said earlier, I think it's quite evident that crossover of football and rugby, you get some of those great athletes out there, and it pays off in the field. So we're faced with a Goliath of a team with Rio Rancho.
It's tough, too, because they're not just Rio Rancho High School, which is a dominant football team. They're also Suvi Cleveland, all the kids from Rio Rancho combined into one squad.
You know, I went to the state wrestling tournament, and I just saw the domination of the West Side. And it's a numbers game. You know, it's the only way the city can grow. And when you have that many numbers, it's difficult to compete. I mean, every other champion was Cleveland, Volcano Vista, Rio Rancho, was West Side domination. And it's tough. It's tough to compete.
Well, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about this weekend's matchup. You guys got the first round bye, got to play El Paso for your first match after El Paso came back on the Eagles, correct?
Yes. They were down 17-0 at halftime, came back, won 24-17. They're a well-disciplined, well-coached team by Michael, and we had a 21-point lead. They came back, scored 2 quick tries, so 21-14 at halftime. Was neck and neck there for a while. We had a few breakaway tries at the end, so it was a lot closer than the score indicated. Very tough team. Really respect their program down there with Cathedral.
And we had a chance to play them in 2011 with St. Pius, so it's great that their team's still playing.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about one thing I saw in that game. The El Paso kicker on the try was scored right at the edge, and he was able to make that kick from the very corner. And I noticed all throughout the weekend there's been great kicking going on.
Well, this was kind of a trial by error. A soccer player came out to play rugby for his first time. Waylon, he's our number 15, and this kid makes some clutch kicks from some extreme angles.
Absolutely.
And with the wind and everything, so the guy's just cool under pressure. He's made some really. In fact, when we played Las Cruces, I don't think we would have had the number 1 seed. We went down there with 15 players.
Oh, geez.
And we won 17-15, and he had to make a corner kick, difficult kick. Those corner kicks, as you all know, are really
Absolutely.
tough. Nailed it. So we wouldn't have had the number 1 seed if we didn't win that match.
Absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the standings from this season. So as we can see, La Cueva and Rio Rancho neck and neck at the top. The only difference is Rio Rancho played Palmer High School for a game. So, and I believe they played a 10s match against the Aardvarks. But your Bears, the Rebels, 4-1, 5-1. The Owls and El Paso right neck and neck behind you guys.
And John O'Neill at Cibola has done a great job. Great athletes at that school. So You know, they'll be playing for third place, unfortunately. You know, we got the luck of the draw. We really did. Because Rio Rancho and Cibola had to play each other to get to the state championship. So that number 1 seed, I emphasized all year long with the kids, how critical that was.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the bracket itself for that. So this is what the course to get to the championships was. As I mentioned, El Paso beat the Eagles, and then La Cueva, your team, was able to beat El Paso. The Rebels took on the Junior Aardvarks and Las Cruces, and the Owls played first thing in the morning. The toughest part for them must have been also having to play 2 15s matches in a single day.
Right, exactly. That's why we wanted that bye. That's critical, especially being up in Santa Fe in that hot sun. So.
Yeah, everybody was frying a little bit. Well, now the matchup is going to be between the Bears and the Rebels, as the Rio Rancho Rebels beat the Owls 34-5 in a very tough, very physical match.
Very physical match.
They,
I got a little chippy out there. So that's the thing is you know, Dave has done a great job as far as exposing Rio Rancho. I think during spring break, they went out to Oklahoma and they were playing top 25 teams in the country. And putting yourself through those kind of battle tests pays off. And they were focused. You know, they're going to be a tough opponent. You know, I'm nervous right now thinking about it because they are a big, fast, collectively across the board, very talented team.
All right. Well, I don't want to reveal too much of your game plan, but any little taste of how you're going to beat them?
You know what? We have good speed. We don't have size, but we have good speed. We got to capitalize on our speed and ball handling. Obviously, just eliminate mistakes, good passes, stick our tackles. You know, just the fundamentals, the basics. So, you know, and defense. Defense wins championships.
Absolutely.
And they have a great offense. They do an excellent job of spinning that ball wide, creating overloads. They're very tricky. They insert fullback. They go weak. They go strong. So we have our hands full.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough match. Well, let's take a look at some of the other brackets that are going to be coming down. Yeah. So in the 10s division, we lost a few of those teams. The only ones who are still going to be playing are Los Alamos, St. Pius, the El Paso Spartans, and San Juan. Unfortunately, Montezuma, that's the International World College, they have testing all week long, so they're not going to be able to get off.
Oh, really? Unfortunately, I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's too bad because they were a pretty good team to watch, but we'll have St. Pius taking on the San Juan Spartans first thing, then Los Alamos playing the El Paso Spartans. So there's a potential of a Spartans on Spartans battle. That'd be kind of fun. In the girls bracket, they're going to be playing a one-round elimination buys, single elimination.
I didn't realize San Juan did that well. That's impressive.
Yeah, the only team who, well, the Royals and the Pumas got close to beating San Juan. Pumas got close once, Royals got close twice, but San Juan has not been beaten all year long. It's going to be single elimination. San Juan and the Rebels actually have first-round buys, so everybody else has to play a match of sevens before that. And even though sevens is set up for weekend tourneys, it's still going to be playing in their favor.
And that's the first year San Juan has a women's team, right?
I believe they had them last year as well.
Did they? Okay.
Because they played in the finals.
But that's a good testament. I mean, that's a small community up there, and obviously they gravitated towards it, and they're undefeated going to the state championship. That's great.
Yeah, they're quite dominant. Well, the matches this weekend, if you want to catch the championships, they're going to be at Balloon Fiesta Park. We have the girls' sevens final is going to be at 1 p.m. The boys' 10s final is going to be at 1:30, and then the boys' 15s is going to be at 2:30. And we already know one of those matches, your Bears taking on the Rebels. Coach, thank you so much for coming on. Good luck in the match coming up.
Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Folks, stick around. We're going to have some scenes from this last weekend's tournament. We'll be right back.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network. Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Hey Lobo fans, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Samantha.
Jaguar Land Rover Albuquerque has been a family-owned business since 1988. The 2017 Jaguar F-Pace has been named the winner of the 2017 World Car of the Year and World Car Design of the Year.
Land Rover's signature terrain response system is flawless against any curveball New Mexico weather can throw at you.
We have a class-leading extended warranty on all Jags and Land Rovers and one of the greatest pre-owned inventories in the state of New Mexico.
Call 505-797-3600 to schedule a test drive.
Don't forget, every Proview Network sporting event is on sale at our DVD store. Go to www.proviewnetworks.com to buy your DVD today.
Welcome back, folks. Remember to check out the championships this weekend at Albuquerque's Balloon Fiesta Park. I believe the first matches begin at 10 a.m. with the final championship match beginning at 2:30. We're going to go ahead and leave you, though, with some scenes from the tournament up in Santa Fe this last weekend. Enjoy, folks.
pretty good. Look at that. You already committed to it. You committed to it already, bro. They already committed to it. Get in it. You're being so stupid. Oh,